Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Last night, I premiered a video talking about the differences between dating coaches, passport bros, travel bros, and SYSBM. And this was a video I was hesitant to make. However, because this video was requested by a longtime viewer, I decided to make this video. Now, I have my reservations about making any sort of video regarding the subject of passports after everything I encountered in 2019 from a small group of, as I see it, extremely dysfunctional black men. Now, these black males got so upset over my difference of opinion regarding passports that these individuals decided to stop supporting my Patreon, and they decided to start stalking my Twitter and my Facebook and following my every move on social media. And as they acted like what the late David Carroll called beta male stalkers, these individuals just showed how completely insane they were, all because one black man decided to disagree with the mainstream narrative promoted by people like the late Charles Taylor talking about black men and passports. And it seems like these individuals, they got upset over just a small portion of the entire discussion I was presenting in this subject, talking about the differences in between these four groups. Because when I look at all four of these groups in the context of the entire video theme, they all look like gimmicks, just like the late Kevin Samuels' high value man. And the big problem I see with a lot of black males is that they go out here and hold on to these gimmicks like a security blanket because they lack the confidence to go out here and have a relationship with women on their own. So many of these black males, whenever somebody goes out here and questions or criticizes their gimmick, they get in their feelings and then they want to attack the individual. And the reason why they want to attack the individual is because they feel like they're going to lose their opportunity to gain attention from women once they learn the truth about their gimmick. Now, the big problem with gimmicks is, again, they are an attachment just like a cell phone or an expensive suit. They're just something that an insecure man uses to try to go out here and make himself stand out. But the problem is he's using the attachment to go out here to get attention and not going out here on his natural confidence. And this is what the passport individual is doing, because the passport individual, they want to go out here and get the attention of these foreign women because they're upset about how they have failed with American black women. Now, many of these passport bros, they don't really understand that the big problem that they're having has to do with themselves, because what's causing them to be so upset about somebody criticizing them going overseas is the fact that they still have not processed all of the pain they have had as related to their traumatic experiences with American black women. Now, many of these males, they have had traumatic experiences either because they had numerous failed relationships or attempts at approaches with black women, and they have either been verbally castigated, humiliated, or just disrespected, and that's what's got them out here upset at black women, and they haven't really worked that out. Some are upset because they have had a bad relationship with their mother, and they have been dominated and subjugated by that single mom who has verbally and emotionally abused them, and that is the core part of the trauma for both the black man and the black woman. But you can't explain that to the passport bro because he's too in his feelings to listen to a logical argument regarding his trauma that he's experienced. Now, the reason why some of these black women are out here acting wild and crazy is because they have been in the same household with that same single mother, and that same single mother has gone out here and she has verbally abused many of those sisters in that single mother household. And in that single mother household, that black woman has been verbally abused by that black single mom because that black single mom sees her as competition. And she sees her as competition because she has not gotten her emotional needs met by a husband. And because she hasn't gotten her emotional needs met by a husband, what she does is she sees her daughter as competition. And because she sees her daughter as competition, she verbally abuses and even physically abuses her. And that trauma is something that the black woman goes out here and has because she has been verbally and physically abused by her mother, and in some cases has been abused by other men in the community. So that nasty attitude and that big mouth, they come from that black single mom, and that black single mom also has scarred this black man who has also had to deal with this kind of abuse from the single mom. But the black man doesn't understand how to connect the dots regarding how the abuse he's suffering comes from the roots of that single mom. And that's why he's having traumatic experiences with the black woman, because the black woman has been abused. And because she's been abused, she does not know how to go out here and cater to a man, because she's been abused by women and men in the community. So she's filled with a lot of anger, she's filled with a lot of frustration, and this is the problem with your black woman. She's messed up because the single mom messed her up, and then when the black man tries to have a relationship with her, she doesn't know how to trust a man, she doesn't know how to bond with a man, because she's been constantly attacked by the single mom. So both of them are dealing with trauma, but the whole thing is neither one wants to heal, and they believe that the way to heal is to walk away from each other. That is the big problem in the black community that many black males don't want to face. They don't want to face that the road to healing is with each other, but the whole thing is they want to run away from each other because they don't want to deal with the pains that each of them deal with. So when I look at many of the passport bros, they're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to get a better relationship with a woman from overseas, but they don't see how they're carrying a lot of issues in their own personal life from the traumas they have experienced from, one, the abuse they received in single mother households, and two, the trauma they have experienced from dealing with the abuse from black women, and they don't want to connect the dots and go out here and work on the pain that leads to many of the issues. No, what they want to do is think that they can leave the black community and find better, but the roots of the problem come from the black man and the black woman not dealing with their issues. Now, many of these passport bros, they're just, again, they get in their feelings, they get upset, and they go out, they lash out at people like myself, and they lash out because they don't want to deal with the pains that they have of their own childhoods and their own adolescence. So a lot of them, they want to sit there and get angry about passports. They want to think that they can escape these issues, but again, there is no escaping the issue, because the issues are at the root of the black man, and he starts to have the same problems with other women, even though he says these women are so-called nicer. The problem is that he doesn't see the big picture of the foreign woman as related to women and female nature, because many men out here in these foreign countries, they have first option to get with these women, and the critical question that the black passport man doesn't ask is, why didn't that foreign man go out here and marry that woman? I mean, if this man has first choice at this woman, you would think he would have been the first to make her a wife, but he did not choose to make her a wife for a reason. Moreover, you have the white man who goes out here and travels to these countries, and he has second pick at that foreign woman, yet he chooses not to marry that woman. And that, again, is not a thing that many of your black males ever think about. All they think about is, oh, I want to go out here and get with the so-called better woman, not seeing how the man who is first in that country has a first pick at that woman and passes her, or how that white man who has the money and the resources, he has second pick at that woman, but he chooses not to get involved with her, and he thinks, oh, I'm getting a better deal, even though there are men in China who are calling their women who are single leftover women, and men in other countries are saying, hey, this is not a woman I want to deal with, and they want to sit there and get in their feelings thinking about, oh, I'm getting this treasure, when these white men and these foreign men have already considered these women not viable women. So he's thinking that trash is treasure, and he's willing to go on a plane and dumpster dive as related to women, thinking that he's going to get respect from a foreign woman in another man's country. And it's just like the brother of Logic and Common Sense used to say in his videos. He used to talk about the whole concept of territory. And the concept of territory is related to the respect that this black man wants. And the problem with the black man is that he's so traumatized by all of the abuse, he's not focused on doing out here and building up and establishing territory in his own community. No, he wants to leave his community thinking that he's going to get respect from other people, when those other people have no respect for him, because he does not go out here and establish boundaries as related to how he is treated in his own community, as he calls it. Now, your black male, he wants to sit there and talk about leaving his community and getting respect from other men, but men only respect other men who go out here and set boundaries and go out here and establish lines for their territory, and do not let invaders come into their territory, because most men, if you can go out here and set lines for your territory, they see where the lines are logically, and they respect those lines because they understand that this is as far as they're going to go. But with the black male, you have these people coming into your community, like the Arab store owners, the Indian fast food restaurants, the Chinese hair and nail salons, and these Hispanic bodegas. You have all of these individuals coming into your community, taking $3.3 trillion in cash and credit out, and giving you absolutely nothing. Moreover, you've got the leftist politician coming in, and he's just getting money for himself and leaving you with absolutely nothing. And then you want to go out here and talk about you want respect. Well, you have not taken any respect in your own community, so how can you ask a man to give you respect overseas? That's a critical question I want to ask many of the passport bros who want to get upset over somebody presenting an opinion talking about traveling, but you don't see how you need to travel back to your community because you need to get respect. And the way you get respect, again, is by establishing territory, because if you don't establish territory, nobody's going to respect you, because if anybody can walk into your community and do whatever they please, then nobody has an incentive to give you any respect. And any sort of attention you get from one of these foreign women, that really means nothing to anyone, because them giving you attention does not mean that they respect you. It just means that this female knows that her options are limited with those local men, and she's looking to go out here and look to find an option that will be better than nothing in her own country. But you can't explain that to the black man who doesn't really understand the concept of territory, and he's sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to go out here and be with these other people, not understanding these other people, they don't really see you as anybody they respect, because you have not taken respect by, one, going out here and dealing with all of these people who have invaded your community, like these Arab store owners, these Korean hair and nail salons, these Indian fast food places, these Hispanic bodegas. You have not dealt with any of those individuals, and you have not dealt with the greatest enemy of the black community, which is the buck dancing, bojangling, step and fetch it black pastor. I mean, had you dealt with these individuals in your community and set lines for your territory, your black woman would be a completely different woman because she would see you leading in your community. She would see you establishing authority. She would see you setting boundaries. She would see you setting order. And when she sees you leading, setting boundaries, and setting order, what she's going to do is she's going to see that as you being the leader, and those women, they're going to go out here and respect you, and they're going to respect you because they see that you're taking charge. But the black man doesn't want to take charge because a lot of times he's been raised in the single mother household, and in that single mother household he's learned that females are authority figures, and he's afraid to challenge the authority of the black woman. And because he's afraid to challenge the authority of the black woman and stand up for himself, what happens is that he's scared to go out here and do this because he's afraid that she's going to punish him, and she's afraid that she's going to go out here and call the white enforcers, and that's what they're afraid of. So they don't want to go out here and stand up and establish territory. Instead, they want to talk about things like going to somebody else's country and going into their territory, and he's going to go out here and build in another person's land. And that's a completely backwards ideology as I see it, because when you talk about going to somebody else's country, you are only there on their terms. And when you're in somebody else's country on their terms, they have a right to say where you go and what you do, and they have a right to do that because it's their territory. But this is something many black men don't want to think about because they're so in their feelings and they're so caught up in the positive attention they're receiving from women, and they're not thinking critically about how men operate in society, because in a lot of cases many of these black males never had a father in their lives, and they never had a father to teach them how things work as related to men. So I understand why many of these black males get upset over these whole subjects of passports. They get upset because there's a lot of painful things they don't want to process, and some of them they get upset because they believe somebody's taking away their security blanket, and others think that somebody's taking away their gateway or their ticket to being white, because there are some black males out there who want white acceptance so badly, and they want to fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people, that they go out here and what they want to do is they think, oh, if I get with this foreign woman, they actually mean white woman, and white European woman at that. Because I find it interesting that you never hear any of these passport bros ever talking about going to Africa, and many of the guys in the chat of that video, they also brought up that observation. You never see any of these passport bros ever talking about going to Africa and getting an African woman. And that, again, just shows how this is all about white acceptance and white approval and fitting into the black box that's acceptable to white folks. And again, many of these, they're upset because, again, they have all of this trauma as related to being black, and that's why they're upset, and they talk about, oh, the black woman is so bad, and they need to run away from the black woman. But you don't get respect by going out here and running away, because again, when you go to a man in another land and start talking about, oh, my black woman is so bad, so I had to come over here, every other man in any other foreign land is going to look at you and see weakness, because he's going to say, if your woman can run you, then how can you go out here and talk about leading anything or building anything? Because if a female who is weaker than you can run you, then what will those men do once you build something? That's another critical question many black men don't want to think about. What if you go out here and build something? If a woman can run you, guess what? Those men can run you as well. And again, they're not really thinking about how how they're looking. But I look at this whole passport thing, and it's not a subject I want to discuss anymore. and it's not one I will ever discuss anymore because, as I see it, many black males, they're just not ready to have a objective discussion about passports. They just want to go out here and buy into the idea that they can escape this black woman. And again, you can't run, because when you run from a black woman, you're running from yourself. And when you run from yourself, you're just going to be running in circles. And the problem with the black man is he would rather run from himself rather than confront his problems. Now, this is going to be the final video I ever do about passports. And if anybody ever sends me another request about passports, I will not go out here and honor that request. And I will either refund the money if you send it to me on Cash App, or I will just decline to do the subject at all. I'm just tired of this subject, and I don't want to deal with these toxic individuals and the venom that they have. So I will never discuss passports again, and don't ask me to ever discuss passports again. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. Sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.